Hello. Let's do another podcast. I am trying to get really regular with these. So, yeah, welcome back to American in Peril. A little brief on this podcast because I haven't really introduced it in a while. I talk pop culture. I talk a lot of garbage. I share my opinions. I think about things critically and encourage you to think about them as well. And I cover a lot of different topics. Today we do have a theme. I want to cover British white men. You'll see when we get into it. But yeah, hi, I'm Mackenzie. That's me, your host. A little brief on my week. I went out almost every night. Wish I didn't. I do not have a drinking problem. I do not have a saying no problem. I do not have any problems that anybody needs to know about. I saw Sega Bodega and Cecil Believe. I was pretty excited about that. I am, as I've said on this podcast before, a hyper pop / like bubblegum bass / PC music head. I love Sophie. I love Shy Girl. I love Charlie. And Cecil and Sega have collabed with those people in the past, so it was very exciting for me to see some of those songs live. Cecil Believe did a Sophie collab song, an A.G. Cook collab song. Her own like solo music is also great, so that was a lot of fun. She has a very sort of ethereal Björk-ish voice, but it's done with like, you know, high level glossy pop production, which is fun. And then Sega Bodega did his new record, which was great. I actually had never listened to the record in full. I kind of just showed up blind, knowing that he was a producer that I liked. And it made me really want to listen to the rest of the album that I haven't checked out yet. So that was great. It was like low budget production, but the lighting was awesome. It was, honestly, the lighting kind of like told a story. It was crazy. They had all these different, I don't know the technical terms for these things because I didn't specialize in lighting when I got my film degree, but there were big lights all over the place, and then they would change color and like all go off at specific times, and they were coordinated. And then there was one that would like flash bright, sort of like you're seeing the lights, you're gonna die. Like, it was really cool. So points for doing the most with what you've got. I appreciate that. So yeah, if you have the chance to see either of those artists, I would recommend it. And what else did I do this week? There's a new screening series here in Portland. If you are in Portland, I'm trying to influence you to go check these out. It's called Pam Cut. It is through the Art Museum, their film division, which is where I did my internship in college, so I'm a little biased. But they do these talks before like legacy film screenings. The one I went and saw was Marie Antoinette, the Sofia Coppola film, which is, if I've never said this before, my favorite film of all time. Like, love it, love it. Have the poster of it in my living room, watch it multiple times a year, like, love it. So that was my first time ever seeing it in a theater, and to be honest with you, I kind of think I prefer watching it on my laptop in my bedroom with the lights off, because it is such a personal film to me, and I'd never had the experience. Like, I have favorite movies. The only one that I feel like I've seen in theaters is Phantom Thread, and that's because I saw it when it came out. The majority of my favorite movies I have not seen in theaters and have watched on laptops. And I think that if that's the way that I watched one of my favorite films for the first time, like, I kind of just want to keep watching it on a laptop and, like, make it feel like it's mine. But it was still great. Obviously, it's a beautiful film with amazing costume. That was the subject of the talk, was design. So they talked a lot about the costumes and the color choices, some of Sophia's references going into the making of the film. I thought it was interesting because the soundtrack of the film is like new wavy, and they did point to is it Love, Power, Corruption? Love, Power, sorry. The New Order album with the flowers on the front is being sort of a good starting off point for thinking about the imagery in Marie Antoinette if we're thinking about, like, why was that soundtrack chosen? How do they complement each other? And I also would personally argue that the new wavy / indie rock soundtrack of Marie Antoinette does fit it really well, because yes, they play a lot with aesthetics of, like, decadence, for instance, which is obviously fitting for the end of Versailles. But also, and they said this too, because those are the kinds of bands that teenage girls listen to, and Marie Antoinette is very much about being a teenage girl that doesn't have freedom to make her own choices. I thought that was fun. I liked to go see it, and I kind of want to go see, they're doing American Psycho later this month with, like, an Instagram meme page guy, which is just kind of interesting to me. I don't know what the talk's going to be like. And then at the end of the month, I think they were doing Hausu, the Japanese film, which I also love. So I might go to those. We'll see. They keep picking my favorite movies. They also did Bring It On, and I'm so mad I didn't go, because Bring It On is, like, probably also, like, it's a top 50, but I really love Bring It On. So anyway, I have to keep an eye out for those more often. And I would encourage you, in whatever city you're in, also to go to screenings like that and just support your local theaters, because movie theaters are important to your local community and bringing the arts to everybody. So thank you for listening to me. I've been working a lot. I work in marketing. We're kind of ramping up for the holiday season, which is obviously a big time for my industry. I work for... I'm not even going to say. I work for an agency, and at that agency, we do marketing for a big brand that encourages you to do things. And I'm doing their Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaign. So I've been preoccupied in my brain by that. And I went to their HQ the other day, and they did a whole new, like, spiel on what their new, like, marketing stuff looks like. I can't share any of that, but we are going to be doing a lot of shifting gear. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about work, which has taken time away from the podcast, which is why these are so, like, quick and dirty recently. But I still want to get stuff out. I have a lot of other things I'm thinking about that I would love to talk about on the podcast. So this is the format for now as we're moving into holiday. And we'll see if it sticks. We'll see if people like it. My last episode didn't do very well, so we'll just see how the dice falls. But I also, this was yesterday, drove up to Tacoma, Seattle to see Dan and Phil, the YouTubers, with my friend Michaela. Michaela and I bonded a lot over Dan and Phil at the, like, start-ish of our friendship, and it means a lot to us. We are meaning to get a tattoo that Dan drew for us last time we saw him, but it hasn't happened yet, but it will. Dan and Phil just mean a lot to me. I know that I put up this facade on this podcast of being very, like, cool and worldly, but that is who I am at my core. I hope that you take that to heart when you think about me as a person. I went to Manchester. When my grandma passed away, she gave me money with which to do what I pleased. And I spent it on a trip to Europe, where I went to Manchester. And I told everybody it was because I wanted to visit the birthplace of the 1975 and Oasis and the Smiths. And that is true. I did go because of that. But I also went because somebody did an Airbnb in Dan and Phil's old apartment complex. And I got to stay in the apartment complex, and I feel really weird and good about it. And I went to all the places that they go to in their day in the life, and it really made my entire existence feel. I felt very happy. Those are very happy memories. Watching their videos are very happy memories. The bonding that it gave me with my friends in high school are very happy. And I think my life has been significantly improved by the existence of Dan and Phil. So it's always nice to go see them. Their live shows are actually very good. I know YouTubers don't have a positive, like YouTuber live show doesn't ring anything good for people, I think. But they are just very engaging people. I think they know their audiences very well, and like what they can bring to the table and what would be fun for you in a live environment. I was smiling the whole time. I was laughing, and like, yes, they're millennials and it's cringe and whatever. I don't care. I literally don't give a shit. They are so funny to me, and I think that they're very sincere and sweet, and I will defend that forever. So I did. I went and saw Dan and Phil, and I fucking loved it. And honestly, it really inspired me that if this podcast thing doesn't work out, I'm just going to start vlogging again. Because part of the okay, let me just tangent. Part of the live show is that they talked about how they feel like their style of content, which is like friends goofing off. You know, they kept using the phrase light entertainment, which like everything is light entertainment now, but a specific kind of light entertainment that is like barely planned, like friends doing stuff for content. It isn't really as popular anymore. It's the Mr. Beasts, it's the family vloggers, it's the Logan Pauls, and the gamers and stuff. Streamers, I do watch a lot of Lil Simsy, so I understand. But I like that kind of thing because I grew up with it, and it does, it entertains me, and it makes me happy. And you know what? If I ever pivot to making that kind of stuff, doing my own daily vlogs in that style, you're gonna have to live with that, because I used to do that. You can score back on this channel, and I loved it. And I'm starting to get to the point where cringe does not exist. So that's that. I came back from Tacoma this morning. It's Monday. I took the day off. And here I am recording a new episode. So I said I wanted to talk a lot about white British men, and I've already done some of that. But specifically, my topics for today, I want to talk about music. So talking about Oasis. We're talking about the Charlie Remix album, featuring the 1975 and Julian Casablancas, who is not British, but who my boyfriend refuses to believe is actually from New York and is not British. And then I also want to talk about the substance at the end. We'll get to that. That's like not related. I want to talk about it, so fuck it. Oasis. I feel like this is something that I've been wanting to cover on the pod because I love Oasis, and their reunion is something that has been very exciting for me, but it's not necessarily something that I feel like people who have been listening to this podcast care about. But I'm going to make you care about it. So strap in. Something that, at least when I tell people my age, like, I'm so excited about Oasis returning. I'm going to get a ticket. Oh my god, my eye's twitching. Oh fuck. So my eye is probably really red because I drove 2.5 hours to get home from Tacoma. And my eyes get really strained if I've been driving long distances. So if you see my eye twitching, Just, that's what my body does. I'm sorry. So Oasis, people get confused when I say I love Oasis. I'm so excited about them returning because I think a lot of people didn't know that Oasis went anywhere, at least if they're my age. And even some people older than that, like I talk about Oasis at the office because there are other Oasis fans, mostly men in their late 30s to 50s. But there's dozens of us. And there's people at the office that have been like, oh, I didn't realize that Oasis was like on a hiatus. Probably because they're still like such a staple on like alt rock, indie rock radio stations, whether that's like literal radio stations or like on Spotify. But yes, they've been on a hiatus for 15 years. And I'm going to explain it to you because apparently a lot of people don't know. I am, if you don't know, my handle on Twitter is Liam Gallagher because of Liam Gallagher of Oasis. So I have spent a lot of time thinking about these things. Believe it or not. But yeah, Oasis has had a troubled past. It is fronted by two brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher. They have two classic records, Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory. The rest of the albums are fine. I don't listen to them that often, but I love the first two so much. And around their second album, that's when the troubles started. I'm sure there were a lot of troubles before that. Like I highly doubt that Liam and Noel had healthy relationships with each other at any point in their lives. But in terms of like public knowledge, Liam invited Noel into the band in the first place. That's why he's there. Noel is also a primary songwriter, sings some of the songs. Liam is technically the lead singer. They both be singing, though. They, put out Definitely Maybe. They put out What's the Story Morning Glory. They became extremely super mega famous in the UK. If you watch My Mad Fat Diary on Hulu, which is a great show if you like to watch teen drama bullshit, there is a whole episode about this, the Blur versus Oasis situation. Highly recommend it. It's very funny. I find it very relatable because I've also had a lot of people pass in and out of my life that were very into Blur, and I'm fine with Blur. Totally fine with Blur. Love a lot of Blur songs. I'm an Oasis girl. Sorry. They were huge though. Like levels of huge that are unfathomable to many. They sound like the Beatles. They had the same kind of popularity as the Beatles in the UK. I did find a stat in my research for this that like for their tour their tour accompanying Morning Glory, like 4% of British people bought tickets. Like British people love Oasis. And in the US, a lot of people don't know who Oasis is, or they don't care, or they only know about Wonderwall. And that is a travesty. In saying that, the US did get a tour for Morning Glory, but the day of the flight from London to the US, Liam refused to board. He was 3 days late to tour. They had to open in Chicago without Liam. That sucks for everybody. But everybody plays it off like it's no big deal. And that was that. He said it was like personal issues. Sure. But a few more weeks go by and tour gets canceled midway. This is in the 90s, by the way. I believe Morning Glory came out in 94. Morning Glory came out in 1995. So this was probably around 1996. I was not born yet, but here we are. Noel takes credit for the cancellation, says that there were internal issues, but doesn't specify. And eventually this was revealed to be the result of a fist fight between the two brothers. Fun stuff. From here, and honestly before, like after Definitely Maybe, you make a lot of money off of a hit album. The brothers had reputations in the industry. Liam more for being a party boy, Noel for being abrasive in interviews. Like Noel, I'm just gonna say it, Noel told the press that he wanted Damon Albarn of Blur to die of AIDS, which is a horrible thing to say. That's just the kind of person he is. I don't know. They kept hitting each other in the head on stage and behind the stage and in the studio with flying objects because they kept fighting about shit. Liam kept getting women pregnant that were not his wives. So, you know, the reputations in the media were not awesome, but it doesn't mean that they stopped the behavior. This continued on from 1995-ish to 2009. Yeah. How old would that make them? I think, like, in 1995, Liam was probably, like, 23. Noel's a little bit older. So by 2009, I mean, what does that make you? Like, 30... late 30s? And you're still fighting with your brother, you know? It's all interesting to me. But anyway, in August of 2009, before a show at the festival Rock on Sign, it's a Parisian festival. I'm assuming they're rocking on the sign. Would make sense. They officially split up, canceling the show day of, and the entire upcoming tour for their latest album, their last album at this point, and anything else to do with Oasis. It was all done, canceled. But I have some quotes. Even before all of this happened, there was a tone to interviews told Q Magazine. I'm quoting from a luxurylondon.co.uk article, by the way. I've never heard of that in my life, but okay. Noel told Q Magazine, "I don't like Liam," before going on to claim that he was rude, arrogant, intimidating, and lazy. He's the angriest man you'll ever meet. He's like a man with a fork in a world of soup. Which is an amazing thing to say about someone. Liam retorted by telling the NME, "It takes more than blood to be my brother. He doesn't like me, and I don't like him." Noel also explained in 2011 that part of their breaking up fight was that Liam had just launched a clothing line and wanted to put advertisements for it in the tour booklets, which is a thing that people used to do. I vaguely remember this from seeing Maroon 5 with my mom when I was a kid, but nobody does tour booklets anymore. Anyway, Noel said, "I didn't feel it was right for him to be flogging his gear to our fans. There was a massive row about that. Row. British people. There was a massive row about that. In the end, I said, if you want to advertise in the program, then how much?" He couldn't get his head around that. He hit the roof, and it slowly went downhill from there. Which I kind of understand. Sorry, I'm taking Liam's side. It's your clothing line, and it's your band. Just put it in there. People are gonna want to buy it anyway. It doesn't fucking matter. It's a tour program. It has ads in it. That's just how a tour program works. Anyway, the claim is that Liam got violent after that. Noel says it was a bit like WWE wrestling. Liam storms out of the dressing room and picks up a plum. He threw it across the dressing room and it smashed against the wall. They got a little violent, and Noel says he won't do it anymore. He can't deal with the violence at this point. So there you go. Because Liam smashed some shit up. Still can't talk. Noel got upset, and that's why the band doesn't exist. Which is, it is what it is. It is what it is. And Liam's response in the press after all of this was that Noel couldn't handle the vibes anymore. That's a direct quote. I agree. I think Noel just couldn't handle the vibes anymore. Yeah, Liam's an asshole, but Noel's kind of a bigger asshole. So don't listen to this and don't break up. So Oasis getting back together now is significant because they've been denying this for a very long time. Both had different projects. Obviously, none of them hit quite like Oasis. This was last year, I believe, and I reposted it at the time and was like, fuck yeah, I agree with you. Matty Healy did an interview. Matty Healy of the 1975 / of cancellation fame. He said, "No one wants to see Noel Gallagher and his high-flying birds. They want to hear definitely maybe." That's me paraphrasing, by the way. He said it in a much more charming way. But he's so right. You don't go to a Noel Gallagher gig being like, "I'm so excited to hear this." You go because it's the guy who wrote what's now why the fuck am I blanking on an Oasis song? Don't Look Back in Anger. That is how that works. So it's better that they're together, if you ask me. I'm aware that Liam's solo stuff is like pretty decent and that Noel's had some hits here and there. I also just want to hear Supersonic, being honest with you. Some believe that all of this reunion stuff has something to do with Noel's recent divorce. You need to pay alimony. His ex-wife, I guess, hated Liam. She was a PR person, I believe, in the 90s, was like all around the Britpop scene, so she dealt with Liam a lot, even in a professional capacity. Maybe Noel wants to spite her by working with Liam again. I don't know. It's a way to forget about your personal troubles, too. At the end of the day, there's a lot of reasons to, post-divorce, get back together with your band from the 90s, I think. And all of that's, like, possible, but it's also possible that they've started to make up. You never know. We don't know that much about their standing with each other right now. Liam says on Twitter that they're doing great. They did do a photo shoot together, so they've been in the same room. I would still get the insurance on my tickets, personally. But right now, we're pretty sure things are okay. Personally, I obviously love Oasis. I got really into them during my first year of college. I was going to Columbia College Chicago at the time, and our campus portal was called Oasis. So to get there, you had to Google Columbia Oasis, which is a song that Oasis wrote. And I wouldn't say that Columbia is like one of their best songs ever, but it was enough to get me into them. So I do have this memory of listening to all of Morning Glory. One of my favorite albums of all time, like top 3. Love that album. I listened to it the first time in a hotel that my parents got for visiting me around Thanksgiving in downtown Chicago. I don't remember the hotel, but it had a nice view of the city. And they were like out for a drink, and I had the whole room to myself, and I just stared out the window and vibed. And it's just a very formative, personal memory to me. Enough, obviously, to make me want to go to Manchester in conjunction with my desire to go to the Dan and Phil apartment. But, beautiful city, by the way. Love Manchester. Would love to go back. Favorite city I've ever visited. But like I said, I am Liam Gallagher. I listen to that record all the time. Probably at least like a song from it weekly. Definitely Maybe also is great. But I'm a Morning Glory girl. Totally recommend checking out both records. I think it'll do you good if you've never listened to them in full. The UK tour has already sold out. They love it. They love it so much. There was some discourse when tickets were about to go on sale that like the original fans of the 90s would have to fight off people my age, Gen Zers, to get their tickets, and that is true. Obviously, I'm one of them. One fan did write on Twitter, first priority for Oasis tickets should go to people who were there in the 90s. Okay. And then another person wrote, imagine waiting 15 years for Oasis to reform only to lose out on tickets to Chloe, 21, from Stockport, who just wants to hear Wonderwall live. Sorry, man. That's what a concert is. People are allowed to buy things. And Noel's daughter, I'm really bad at pronouncing this name. So, Anais? Anais. She said, one thing I won't stand for is the ageism and the misogyny around people getting tickets. You could say that. I mean, I feel like people do act like Oasis is something for the guys. There is like the bloke core trend from a couple of years ago where the tracksuits, like the Adidas tracksuits from the Britpop era came back. You don't call it bloke core if it was at all influenced by the women in the movement. But yeah, there's like this very like sporty, sort of like British version of a frat guy connotation with Oasis. And the fashion is great. Like I love a tracksuit. I love those Oakley ass-looking sunglasses. Shorts are great on men. Nothing wrong with any of that. I just think that there are a lot of women who listen to Oasis, and I need to be there. And, like, to be fair, at this point, like, Oasis is, like, a 30-year-old band. There are people that grew up with Oasis, like their parents listening to Oasis. I was not one of them. I had to find them on my own, but there are many that do. And like I said at the office, like if I wear an Oasis t-shirt, I am put into conversation with people, you know, that are older than me. And there is some surprise that I like these things, I guess, but like, I don't know, cross-generational interests are good. They bring people together. So it's an equalizer. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally have accepted that I may or may not be going to the tour. I would love to, because I wasn't able to get on the pre-order selection list. I fumbled that big time, and now everything is sold out. It's sold out within an hour, which is great. It's really great for them, not for me. But I did go on StubHub, and for LA, general admission is like a $450 plus fee right now. Not that bad. I might make the plunge next summer once people start reselling and they're like, fuck, I moved. Oh no, my kid, it got into college. I have to drive them because it's the first week of September. Whatever. Those people are going to start selling their tickets, and I'm going to scoop it up, and I'm going to save some money. Probably not enough, but I'll save some money because I would really like to go. But yeah, that's Oasis. I love them. And I highly encourage anybody who hasn't listened to them in a while or has never given them a fair shake to go listen to Oasis. And maybe go on YouTube or TikTok and look up Liam Gallagher interviews because he's really hot and charming. More music stuff. Brat remix record. Hi. Apologies for the drop in quality, but this whole next section was going to be about the Brat remix record. Brat, but it's different, but it's, I don't remember the fucking name of the album, it's too long, but I'm gonna do my actual review now because when I recorded earlier, it was all stuff that hadn't come out yet. I wasn't actually reviewing, I was just saying stuff I was gonna be excited for. But it's actually out now, so let me just give my actual honest review. I am recording this, if you're not on YouTube, on photo booth on my Mac. So the lighting shit, the audio shit, I'm not going to cut this down because I don't have time, I just want to get this episode up. But yeah, so apologies for the low quality of this next section, but I don't really care because I'm just going to talk about some shit. So, going through the album Fantano style, Brat, and it's completely different, but also still Brat, is the name of the album. It came out on Friday. It's currently Sunday, hence why I just want to get this up. I recorded the literally everything else on Monday, so you can understand my dilemma here. So, 360 has been out for a while. I like Robin. I love Young Lean. Young Lean is like, I was so excited to see him at Coachella a couple years ago. Loved that set. Cherish every new Young Lean thing we get. I know him and Charlie have been close for a really long time. But this, I really wish this was better. And it's not because I think it's necessarily bad or that it doesn't do anything new with the material, because I think it does. I don't love the lyrics. And that's, like, problematic because I feel like Lean is so, in the same way that Charlie can be so evocative, they sort of write in a similar way. And I just don't really see that here with Lean's verses. And then Robin's verses are, like, kind of cringe for some reason. Like, there's the, like, you didn't have email or something, and now my lyrics were on your boobies. And I don't know. It's not the best of either of them. And that's frustrating for everybody, and it's so sad. But as an opener, I mean, you can't not make it the opener because 360 is the opener on Brat. But it frustrates me. Anyway, it's fine. It's a 6 out of 10. Club Classics, I thought was really great. It's the same one that they played at, what's it called? Boiler Room, but adding BB Tricks. I liked BB Tricks as an addition here. I thought she'd added texture. Yeah, this is good. It's a good club track. It'll go off in the clubs, and that's the whole point of Club Classics. I will say Club Classics, the original, is kind of like a romantic song to me. Like it samples Charlie when she was younger, and like George, her fiance, produced it. She shouts out, AG, Sophie, like it. That's like missing from it, so I don't like it as much as the original, because I think that's part of what makes Club Classic so special. But it sounds great. So, and I heard it's popping off in Mexico because BB Tricks is really big in Mexico, so that's also great. It's good. Sympathy is a Knife, featuring Ariana Grande. I like. I definitely can tell they were not in the same room. I'm not also the biggest fan of how their vocals mix together, but it's good. I like the reworking of the song to be more from the perspective of Charlie now as she deals with this like jump in visibility. It does trouble me a little bit. Don't come for me, Ariana fans, that she is like, don't comment on my body, when like I think a lot of the comments on her body currently have been out of concern for how skinny she is. I just think that's kind of like weaponizing the like, don't comment on women's bodies things when like some of it is legitimate concern. Literally don't come for me. But anyway, I like the song. I think, once again, it's not as good as the original, but I do enjoy it. And it's good that it's getting Charlie more visibility. That's all I care about. So, I might say something stupid. I like this more than the original. I am a big The 1975 fan. I think this is a perfect choice, given all of Matty's everything that happened last year in the media. He certainly might say something stupid, and it's if you are familiar with the 1975, it's sort of it feels sort of in between A Brief Inquiry and Notes. It has some similar textures, the piano plonking, sort of like what is it? Music for Airports sort of styling. Yeah, I really enjoy it, and I felt like it also has some like emo guitar in there, like actual Midwest emo guitar, which Charlie over that is very intriguing as well. Yeah, no, I just felt like everybody on the track was being honest, and I like that. So, fan of that one. Talk Talk is good. That one's been out for a second. Troye Sivan. I do like this one a lot more than the original. I think it will be a good club track if I get to hear it in the clubs before this moment passes. Yeah, I just think it has a little bit more energy, and I like Troy on it a lot. It suits him. So, yeah. Von Dutch, the A.G. Cook remix with Addison Rae is great. That goes without saying. This was one of the first remixes released. I love Addison's scream. I like that it's a completely different song. Which isn't to say I hate Von Dutch. I love Von Dutch is great. I feel like it's consistently, out of people that I've introduced to Charlie through Brat in my life, Von Dutch is like consistently their favorite song. And I like that this one is more playful, and I like how Charlie and Addison play off of each other, so good one. Everything is Romantic with Caroline Polachek. This one I'm kind of mid on, and it's really only because I feel like Caroline's lyricism here doesn't really fit. Like, I love the concept of free bleeding in the autumn rain, but it's a little too funny to me, even though I know that's probably not how Caroline sees it. But, I mean, her voice suits the track really well. I did say in my original recording of the podcast that I felt like she's probably the only artist that could really pull off this song, and she does. I still like the original track better, so. But I like this one's a little more melancholy, contemplative, so, yeah, pluses to that. It definitely feels like an autumn song, so I think that's what they were going for, and they succeeded. Rewind with Blade. This actually is my favorite remix of the grouping, which I wasn't really expecting. I do really like Blade outside of the remix. Enjoy his stuff. I like that this uses one of my favorite like synth moments of the original Rewind as the basis for the entire track. And then it also, once again, reflects more on what Charlie's dealing with now, now that she has, like I said, more visibility. Blade's lyricism works really well with hers, like the shadows moving across the field or something. Like, it's just so silly, but it really adds some, like, drama to the whole thing. So, I really like this one. I think it sounds great. Once again, I feel like it's very honest on Charlie's end. And, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Big fan. One of the best of the Brat era, in my opinion. So I also ranks really highly for me. It's more about, it's literally about the good times with Sophie, using, like, real stories from their time together. AG weaves in a couple tracks from previous Charlie eras. I think there's some Visions in track 10 in there. Maybe some Party for You. It's, like, very much woven in a subtle way, but I love it a lot, and you can tell it means a lot to both people involved in the song. I think Easy Fun is in there as well, actually, so it's not just the two of them. But yeah, I like this one a lot. It's very sweet, and I think Sophie would have liked it. So yeah, big fan of that one. Also, if you can hear my dog snoring, I'm sorry. She's sitting on my lap right now. Girls So Confusing with Lorde, great. Easily also one of the best songs of the entire Brat era. We know this. Lorde's verse is, at this point, like, iconic. One of the best pop songwriters of my generation, maybe even of all time. I love Lorde. So, yeah, that goes off. I was actually just today walking down the street, and there was a guy with two little weenie dogs, and he had headphones on, and he was, like, singing along to Lorde's verse, just, like, under his breath. I found that very charming, and I think that it's obviously something that has really connected with a lot of people. So, it was great. And I love the song. So, Apple with the Japanese House, I also think is great. I think it really suits the Japanese house's sensibilities. That was also something I said in my last recording that you guys will never get to hear. But I think the cadence of the melody, I'm really bad with words when it comes to music. Sorry, guys. I just think it sounds like something that Amber would write, Amber being the Japanese house. And here also really works, like, it's a little more, like, slowed down, a little more, it's kind of like Everything is Romantic, it's more melancholy. And in this particular instance, it's more about Amber of the Japanese house reflecting on a relationship. Charlie's still kind of reflecting on her home life, visiting her parents. I think it works. And I really can see myself playing this a lot this autumn. Once again, it's sort of an autumn-sounding song, so yeah, I like it. Not so dancey as the original Apple, but it's great. I actually think I might like it more than the original, so good one. B2B featuring Tinashe. This one's really cute. They, like, reference some of their old tracks. I think, once again, Tinashe suits the sound really well. So, no notes on this one. It doesn't really stand out to me that much, but I do really enjoy it. Once again, maybe more than the original, so good one for sure. Mean Girls with Julian Casablancas. I was really excited for this one, and it honestly really disappointed me on my first listen, but it's growing on me steadily. Especially the last, like, 45 seconds or so. I really enjoy. I like that they leaned into sort of the Daft Punk sort of vocal styling. And then it's more Julian being depressive while Charlie's like, this one's for all my mean girl. Like, it's a little bit funny, but I find the whole thing charming, and it's just not something I thought we would ever get. So I'm glad that we have it. I like it. It was way different from what I was expecting. So, but it's more in line with his, like, Voids work as of late, which is not very good. But this is good. So we have that, at least, Voids fans. I think about it all the time with Bon Iver. I love this. I think Bon Iver suits the song really well, once again. I think Bon Iver's electronic stuff goes vastly underappreciated among, like, I think people just associate Bon Iver with, like, Forever, Forever Ago, and that's not what's actually good about Bon Iver. So I think this is some good visibility into, like, oh my god, like, he suits this sound, and he does this sound really well. And then Charlie's doing this sort of, like, Mike Skinner, The Streets thing, like, little rapping in her, like, first verse. It's really, really good. I'm torn on whether I like it more than the original, but I think it still, like, toes that line of being almost too honest in the same way. I think it's great. I love both of those songs very much. So, good one, for sure. 365 is Shy Girl. Awesome. Needs to be longer. Like, literally my only complaint with this is that it needs to be longer. Because it's so good. And it has such good build, and then it just builds to, like, a 20-second, like, techno breakdown. And it's like, okay, so where are we going with this? Nowhere? We don't get to go anywhere with this? Sucks. But it's really good. And it's Easy Fun's production. Easy Fun is awesome. So, big winner. And then we have Gas for Billie Eilish, which has already been out. I don't like this. I've said this before, I think. I love the Dare. I love his production on this. He, I believe, did not produce Billie's vocals. That was her brother, Phineas. And I don't think it fits very well. It's, like, a little too quiet. Something about it just feels out of place within the mix. And I don't... doesn't sound very good to me. I like Billie's... Like, I like the lyrics. I like the playfulness of the song, that they go back and forth. So it's really disappointing to me that I don't think it was produced very well. So there you go. But that's track by track how I feel. I don't like it as much as Brat, but I do love it. I think it's a really good... for people that don't know Charlie's background, I think this is a good way to introduce them to what her background is like. You know, that she has, like, rave roots, that she did more experimental pop for a long time. She likes to play with different electronic textures. And I like that it's a little more toned down than Brat. I think people were expecting a remix record to be more intense, more club-friendly. But in a lot of cases, you know, it dials stuff back, which I think is a little bold. And I like that. And I like that it continues to be very honest and raw and doesn't compromise the message and the sound and the branding, I guess, of Brat for, like, what a more mainstream audience would think. So, yeah, I'm a fan. I would give it an 8 out of 10 if Brat is, like, a 10, you know? And I think within her discography, like, I obviously would rank it a lot higher than Sucker. I think it's probably technically better than True Romance, although I love True Romance. Better than maybe similar to Pop 2 for me, just because Pop 2 is so collab heavy as well and has, like, some really high highs and then some lows. So I rank it pretty highly. I really like it. And I think she chose her collaborators well. Anyway, big fan of it, and I know I'll be listening to it a lot, and probably will be replacing, especially in the case of, like, Rewind and Apple, maybe even So I, like, those will probably be in rotation for me more often than the originals, so, yeah. Good stuff. Back to my original recording.
But yeah, to wrap this up, also because my camera's dying, I saw The Substance, and I think obviously we're headed into, like, this era of reckoning with beauty standards of, like, the past couple decades. Brat kind of does feel like a turning point on that for me. Like, Charlie's been open about getting Botox done. Lip fillers are a thing, obviously. She doesn't do lip fillers, I don't think, but it's acceptable. People do them. But, like, Otherwise, the eternal youth thing, like getting BBLs, boob jobs, I think are kind of out. I think we are focused a lot on youth, but not necessarily preserving it in a specific way. It's more about aging gracefully using Botox, instead of like plasticking your face. And fortunately or unfortunately for me, heroin chic is kind of in, but it's more like at this point like coke chic or like ketamine chic. But like that plus like having a smoothie in the morning, like there's this weird expectation that you should look like you've been partying, but that you're also still healthy. Those feel like the beauty standards that I'm most aware of. Like, you should look like you're young, no wrinkles, and you should also look like you're tired for some reason, but you're like tired in a youthful way. And, but internally you need to be healthy. So the substance, what I mean to say, seems a little outdated, which is weird. Like, there's something very 80s and like 2000s to me about the substance, which is intentional. Obviously, Demi Moore's character is like a Jane Fonda workout class girl, which is a very 80s thing. Like the kind of jobs they had Margaret Qualley doing. Scanmore is like the 2000s. It was like TV spots. And I think it was supposed to feel timeless because those things still feel timeless to us. But even with that in mind, it felt dated to me. It did not feel like it was taking place currently, even though I know it was supposed to be taking place currently. I don't know, those beauty standards are just very different. Like, 80s girls were more muscular, it was more about working out and doing aerobics. Like, it was about being toned and hot, and like the 2000s were about like having big plastic boobs and like seeming young in a like thin sort of baby girlish way. It's sort of like the Paris Hilton, like, I dress sort of like a toddler, but I'm like sexy. The sexy baby thing is very 2000s. But Sue, the character of Sue, Margaret Qualley, sort of seems like it wouldn't even fit in with like the norms of the 2010s a little bit. Like the Kardashian looks, like the big butts, the tanning. We never see anybody in the substance use social media, which is a huge part of like, frankly, beauty standards, like using filters, posting, doing thirst traps, whatever. Like that is a standard. Or even like now, like people don't watch daytime TV, so like that already dates it. Aerobics is seen as kind of corny. I personally love aerobics. I do aerobics. But it's not like cool, whatever. I guess that just made it a little harder for me to sympathize with. Like, I do worry about aging. People worry about aging constantly now with the internet. Like, everybody wants to look young. You have middle schoolers buying shit at Sephora to like prevent aging. But I guess, I don't know. It's like the fact also that Demi Moore can do a role like this is proof that your 50s are not like an it's so over period anymore. Chloe Sevigny is turning 50 this year, and she's like the centerpiece of the 360 video for Brat. Like, I do think there's still a lot of opportunities for women in their 50s, and I think that people do, if they're in the right headspace, if they care about art, if they care about women, if they care about, you know, people having longevity, that's not an issue anymore, which is great. I think it's a very good thing. And I would like to think that people using serums and shit is more about aging naturally and, you know, preventing getting work done because you're taking care of your skin. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, Botox is very much still a thing, and it is covert, and people get it done all the time, and you never know. That not even really being a part of it was like kind of, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't really relate to it. And it's not that, like, Demi Moore's character clearly has had Botox done. Demi Moore's clearly had Botox done, which means her characters had Botox done. But there was just something about it that didn't feel right to me. Didn't ring true with my current experiences. That being said, I did think it was really funny. I'm glad they leaned hard into practical effects. I love horror. I love practical effects within horror. There's, spoiler, skip ahead like 30 seconds if you care. There's like a big monster reveal at the end where the practical effects are like really funny and amazing, kind of, in the way that they do it. I just think it's really awesome. There's a scene that reminds me a lot of the end of the Suspiria remake, which I also love a lot, but they do it in a much like funnier, gross, goofy way. Yeah, I did find the movie really entertaining and fun. So it's like worth seeing. I just think the like central thesis of like, you know, women hate themselves so much as they get older even though it's true, the way in which they portrayed it, I felt was a little bit outdated, just like in the trends that they showed. And it just didn't resonate with me very much. I was more focused on it being funny. And that is either good or bad depending on how you look at it. I don't know. I wouldn't go into it assuming you're going to see something really scary or like really contemplative about women's beauty standards, because everything also kind of gets like half interrogated anyway. It's just really funny and over the top, and it is about aging, but it's satire. Go in being like, it's a very lighthearted satire and you're going to have a good time. But yeah, that's the podcast. I'm just talking about stuff. I have some recommendations at the end, as I always do. I've been listening to the Marie Antoinette soundtrack because I saw the movie in theaters. I love the soundtrack. It's got the Strokes in it. It's got The Cure in it. It's got Bow Wow Wow. It's got Susie and the Banshees. It's got Aphex Twin. It's so good. Totally recommend listening to it, but watch the movie first if you've not watched the movie. The movie is wonderful. It is some of Sophia's best work. It's so, so good. Go in with an open mind, because it's a quirky kind of period piece, but it's A+. I've also been reading The Secret History, really enjoying that. It's my first Donna Tartt. I'm a little on the fence about her writing style, but we'll see. I like the actual book. I just think it kind of toes the line of like YA a little bit. And I find that she uses some of the same words over and over, which always bothers me. But anyway, I do like it. I think it's an entertaining book. Very evocative of a certain place and time. And I'm also taking more pictures and video recently, and I think that you should too. I'm doing that as a recommendation for you because I really want to prioritize keeping memories sacred and having them for me to view and have to hold and love forever. I really encourage you to do that. And like, don't feel like you have to post them. Just keep them. It's important to do. That's the podcast. I love you and I hope you're well. And I'll see you next weekish. Say goodbye, Smith's album. Say goodbye, books. My dog isn't in here. I'd make her say goodbye too. All right. Goodbye.